have Aditi, who is the founder of Menstruopedia, and she has also educated more than 50,000 girls throughout India as well as world. And I'm so happy to have this slot with her to have her own way of growth through Menstruopedia. So welcome Aditi for our interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for adjusting with the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for your slot because you're having a small kid and you were able to manage the slot for us. Thanks a lot for that. And now, first review the first YouTube video about the Menstruopedia book, right? There was a lot of input from people who really liked it, and even they have asked about that book in person about that book to me as well. So I just wanted to share that with you as well.
That is so kind of you to share the review, and it's very valuable when somebody reads the book and kind of share feedback that you shared, which goes a long way in helping small initiatives like us also. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, the book is really so touchy for me because I felt it is something, if I would have got that in my younger days, right, it would have really helped me. So that feel is just passed through that book, and
Correct.
the your vision to do that is something really amazing to see that. And so we just want to know about your early life, and from that's where the idea of Menstruopedia would have conceived, I think, right? So you can
Okay.
just say about that. It would be really nice for people to hear.
Okay, awesome. And thank you so much for sharing that. You were so this is the common feedback that I get from people. Where was this book when I was growing up? And I really think that Tuheen and I created this book for a 9-year-old Aditi, because if I had a book, I would have not gone through all those experiences which actually led to the making of this book. So, Menstruopedia. So, I'll tell you a little bit about what we do at Menstruopedia. At Menstruopedia, we create awareness about menstruation in a way that is culturally sensitive, in a way that can help more people to.
No problem. We can edit also. If you want to attend, you
Okay.
can just attend also. No problem.
Okay. I think he has woken up.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'll quickly tell you a little bit about Menstruopedia. At Menstruopedia, we create awareness tools and educational tools to teach and learn about menstruation, but in a way that is culturally sensitive, and it is appropriate, culturally appropriate also, because when it comes to a taboo topic like periods or sex education or reproductive health, the challenges are mostly cultural challenges. The concepts are very easy, but the challenges are more in terms of that these topics are taboo. People feel awkward talking about it. We feel ashamed about our own bodies and all. um, why we started Menstruopedia? Because of our own experience of facing the taboo. So Menstruopedia is run by me and my husband Tuheen Paul, and we started working on it when we were in our college. This is in, I think, 2009, when we were studying at the National Institute of Design. And we used to work a lot on several projects, and most of our projects used to be about developing educational tools for professionals or for kids and things like that. But so and that is how we fell in love with each other. And this was the first time I was discussing about periods with a male person outside my family openly. In fact, I have never, till that time, I think this was by 20, when I was 23, 24, back 10, I think 8 years back. And I did not have, hadn't discussed about periods even with my brothers also. So this was the first male person. And with Tuheen, it's like Tuheen is just two brothers. So his mother kept the phenomena such a secret that she did not tell him that what periods are. So he didn't know. And I grew up with a lot of period taboos, like period were considered a very, very sensitive and a very highly taboo topic. We all knew growing up, we all knew that we did not know what periods are, why do periods happen, but somehow it was like a unspoken rule that you don't have to talk about it. And my parents are very, very educated, and they love me a lot. I mean, they have gone extra mile to put me where I am today. But when it came to usage of sanitary napkin, so I grew up in this small town. This town is called Gadhwa. It is in Jharkhand. So 10 years back, not 10 years, I think have mall. I don't think that place have a mall now also, but he did not have a mall. So sanitary napkins were available only in the medical store. So the question was not whether we could afford sanitary napkin or not, but I used to use cloth, wash them and reuse it again. It was not about affordability, but who would go buy sanitary napkin? Because when you grow up in a small town, everybody knows everyone, and that created a lot of health issues. Because again, usage of cloth pad is not bad, but the way we used to hide it, it was unhygienic. We used to reuse it again. Sometimes I also remember that on in the rainy seasons when they were not dry cloth which I used to use. So I used to share the cloth that my mother would use when she was on her period. And I used to get a lot of infection because we stored it. So the cloth that is used during periods was considered very dirty and taboo. So we would hide and keep it. So I used to often get infection using them. So I really dreaded my periods. And I grew up looking at myself and my body as impure with a lot of taboo that you cannot touch pickle, you cannot eat pickle, you cannot worship during those days, you're basically impure. So all of that. And in our school also, so in my school, this town is very small, so my school was really really small. We had only 6 students in our class, 4 boys, 4 girls and 2 boys. And so our biology teacher was very very close to us. And he would explain everything in great detail, but when this chapter came, he skipped the entire chapter. And I got my periods in class 7, and this chapter came only in class 9. So then we did a lot of, so this is how I grew up at NID. We did a lot of research. We saw that the age of menarche, I got my periods when I was 12 years old, but now the girls have started getting their periods in 9 when they are 9 years old. um, School curriculum do not address the topic of menstruation. Also, it is dealt in a very vague manner. Like for example, it is mentioned, so in the school textbook it will be mentioned that blood comes out of your body. From where, like words like vagina is censored. So if you're watching movies, a child can think that the blood can come from the nose also.
Yeah.
So when words like vagina is censored, it becomes a very shameful word. In fact, it shouldn't be at all. In fact, that is the same place where we all
Yeah.
came out in this world. That was our passage. So all of these things cumulatively seemed like a very big problem to us to address, and we as communication designers wanted to address it. And that is how we saw not only the opportunity, but we really saw that we can invest a lot of time of ours, and this became like our life's goal, to just remove the taboo and make us a ecosystem where everybody is informed about menstruation.
That's really amazing stuff which you have told about. And in fact, I thought I got hurt when I was getting my first period, when blood has come from vagina, right? So that's the same feel which any girl would be going through if they were not aware of it. So
Yeah.
taking those kind of topic and have just made it really wonderful. And while you were scaling up this team, right, for the Menstruopedia, how was that scaling up phase? And how you form the team, and little bit about your Menstruopedia as a company or as your organization which you would want to build, right? We like
Right.
to hear stories about that.
Definitely, I think our entrepreneurial journey has been like quite magical. But before I talk about Menstruopedia, I want to clarify that Menstruopedia is not a non-for-profit. It is a for-profit, and I really think that I really want to make it a point to bring it this, because we did not want it to be a NGO, because we wanted to make a kick-ass product, a product that people buy, and it thrives on how much people are buying that product. I'll tell you why. Because we really believe that it is not so that Menstruopedia is the first material or educational tool that was ever created in India. There were a lot of different material, because they were not in this competitive market, and that is why it was developed by a few NGOs where they would get they would get funding for developing this material. And so anytime, whenever you think about topics like educating people about sexual violence, or about menstruation, or domestic violence, or about gender equality, people often think that, oh, I don't need it,
Yeah.
it probably my house help needs it.
Yes.
Or people, so it is not a very so these kind of educational material never actually entered the elite class. You can totally leave the elite class, but it definitely did not enter the middle class also. It was always representative of, or it was also always a thing of the downtrodden. And with periods also it happened. Period taboo, people think that period taboo does not happen with people who are educated, or it does not happen in the city. When it comes to taboo topic, it's everywhere. Domestic violence happens everywhere. It's just that it is taboo, you don't realize the size of the market. But that was kind of a challenging, because this mindset, even the investors had this kind of mindset. So when we started with so Menstrupedia was formed by me and Tuhin. We were batchmates at NID, and we did a prototype. So at NID, design takes a very live form. We make designs for people, and the way we are taught about design and usability, we make market ready products. So we made prototype, and the prototype was being loved by the girls and the teachers, and we knew that we have to return to this particular thing, but we knew that we have to do something before that. So we completed our education, got married, had job, and then after getting married we quit our job. Because I think whenever I'm talking about forming Menstrupedia as a team, it's very important for me to also mention that it becomes in India very difficult to become an entrepreneur and look for a suitable boy or a suitable girl. I know so many entrepreneurs who have quit, who have to like stop working on their idea and go for a full-time job, because nobody wanted to give them their daughter. So that was a good strategy for us, like to make a solid team. I and Tuhin got married and then quit our jobs, so that nobody is going to ask us that how much you're earning or not. Then we had a little bit of earning of 2.5 lakhs, and then we started working full-time on Menstrupedia. We wanted to raise funds for it, but like I said, very like every single business expert that we met told us that this idea is not going to work. Not even a single, like there was no some 6-7 years back, there were no black swans. There were only people saying us that this on business idea, it's not going to work. It can be a hobby idea, but not business idea. And that is why we couldn't raise money for it. We also did not know much how to raise money that time. But people were really liking the idea, so we did crowdfunding, and this comic was launched. Once I and Tuhin were working on it, once this comic came into life, then we had to set up the operational team. We had to set up our office where there is this shipment of the books can go. So once the book was made, that is the time when we expanded the team. But before that also, we were doing a lot of advocacy through Menstrupedia blog. So Menstrupedia blog became like, what can I say? It became like a mouthpiece for people to talk about periods, and it became really huge. At that time, I think 5 years back, nobody was writing about periods online, or nobody was talking openly. But because of Menstrupedia, it was like a crowdsource platform. Our editor was from Bangalore,
okay,
and amazing human. So she used to edit all the articles. People would send their articles, we would edit, and then I would contribute an illustration, and we would publish that article. So again, till that time also, the whole working of the team was very, what can I say, very frugal. It was only probably in 2015 when we started hiring people, when we had like a good, when Menstrupedia moved out of our house. We are again back to our house now.
Yeah.
But right now we have a team of 10 people full-time, working full-time on Menstrupedia. But we work a lot with consultant. But we are developing tools for addressing child sexual abuse. We are developing tools. We are also making Gulu, a book which is on boys' puberty. We we are also, so there are a lot of different ideas that we are working with. A part of it we outsource, and a part of it is full time, that is the in-house team that we have.
Thanks for that info, because a lot of entrepreneurs who are in startup to think about scaling, right? This really would help. How the model, generally people, the when VCs, they generally won't fund it, they would question about it, but still the perseverance to not lose it, or else just thinking about that idea and making it work is something really the great takeaway from Encyclopedia for any entrepreneurs, and especially women entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
Next question would be about your research side, right? You have done a lot of research on this side, and really we like to hear about your research inputs or else eye-winking moments, what you felt is really good enough to share with people who are listening.
Right. So I think before going to this question, I want to, can I add a little bit about the entrepreneurship side? So
Sure.
so right now the way it is, of course the pandemic has changed everything, but the way the possibilities are in India right now, there is no way that you can fail till the time you don't say that I don't want to work on it. Crowdfunding is a great tool. Please explore crowdfunding, because we wanted to raise 4 lakhs and we ended up raising 5 lakhs. In fact, our book was, you can say that our book was sold before it was made, because people invested money to get the sample copy of the book. So crowdfunding reward is like you get a sample copy of the book. And people believed in that idea, and people made that idea happen. So and there are so many different ways of doing that. You just cannot fail right now as an entrepreneur in India if you have decided that no, I'm not going to work on it. But there are certain things and a certain criteria where you have to say that okay, this is what I want to achieve and this is what I want to achieve. But yeah, I mean, start a fail, but there are certain things that you should take care. Like, for example, do not invest in infrastructure, do not invest in full-time team members, outsource, hire consultant, work in a very frugal way. Okay, and definitely work on prototype. A prototype is 1,000 times better. A little bit about my research. So I really think, Satya, that the work through Menstrupedia is like an ongoing research, but I'll tell you what my research tools are. Menstrupedia was actually a research project. It was a college project, and it is a research project. And at the end of the research, you have to produce a thesis and you have to come up with a prototype. That was the requirement of our college. But if you look at Menstrupedia comic right now, it would be probably the 10th version of our content, because we are constantly working on our content. Our research was usually done, I would really say that our research was usually done with a tier 2 city. I was making a comic book for a 9-year-old me. So I would never claim, at the time, I did not claim that I am going to make a comic book for rural audience. No, I was making a comic book for middle class, for girls like me and families like me. In fact, my prototype was also where my mother was involved and she was editing it. So it was also kind of a journey. And I could see my inhibitions taking place, my mother, how we would be uncomfortable, and how that through that journey we could understand that how this discomfort, where this whole project started because of my personal experience, how we can ourselves burst all those myths. Right now we use a lot of, like, for example, for our next book, we do a lot of qualitative and quantitative research. So we meet a lot of schools. Our online channels are a great research tools for us. Like, for example, if you see our Q&A section, in the Q&A section, some of the most, mostly frequently asked questions are like, why women cannot go to the temple. If you talk to people that, period taboos, so many people would say that, the period taboos are not a city-based thing, or period taboos are not an urban thing. These only happens in the village. But if a top voted question is about not going to temple, which means that these people have access to internet and they have access to they have access to IT support, which means that these people are not in the villages. These people are in the cities, just like you and me. There is a lot of trend that we can see that happens on Menstrupedia blog. Like for example, if there is a trend about poetry and using poetry as an advocacy, we would know, because then people would write poems about menstruation, and that is what happened on Menstrupedia blog, where people started using slam poetry, written poetry, stories to burst myth. Um, our quick guide section is also a section where we get a lot of feedback and we kind of implement all of that. Like for example, there was a panel in a comic book where we say that you can a girl when she is growing up, she can have attraction towards other gender.
Yeah.
And then a feedback came that it need not be just other, it need not be just male or female. A girl can have attraction with a female also. So then we had to, and this couldn't come from India. I mean, it was a US audience, because we are not, I mean, our conversations around gender is not matured enough like that. So so we changed that in our comic book, we changed that in our strategy. So all of this happens, and it is, I think the learning and the research part is quite an ongoing process. But one thing that we are very sure of is that because we have translated this book and we keep making more supportive material about it, it is crazy to see how much penetration we have got in the rural areas and in the urban areas also. Like the same material would be used in the most urban areas also, because it is in the regional language, and the same material would be used by the top notch school because it's available in English.